You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Mike, founder of DollarShaveClub.com. What is DollarShaveClub.com? Well, for $1 a month, we send high-quality razors right to your door. Yeah, $1. Are the blades any good? No. Our blades are f***ing great. Each razor has stainless steel blades, an aloe vera lubricating strip, and a pivot head. It's so gentle a toddler could use it. And do you like spending $20 a month on brand name razors? 19 go to Roger Federer. I'm good at tennis. And do you think your razor needs a vibrating handle, a flashlight, a back scratcher, and 10 blades? Your handsome-ass grandfather had 1 blade and polio. Looking good, pop-up! Stop paying for shave tech you don't need. And stop forgetting to buy your blades every month. Alejandro and I are going to ship them right to you. We're not just selling razors, we're also making new jobs. Alejandro, what were you doing last month?
Not working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
I'm no Vanderbilt, but this train makes hay. So stop forgetting to buy your blades every month and start deciding where you're going to stack all those dollar bills I'm saving you. We are DollarShaveClub.com, and the party is on.
I know karate, I know jiu-jitsu, I drive like a gangster when I'm coming to see you, see you, see you, see you.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The following program may contain coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Sure. Good evening, everybody. It's Darylyn and Diane. We want to say thank you for joining us tonight. And we would like to give a shout out to all the candidates, win or lose. Thank you very much for your hard work. Thank you for stepping up. Thank you for running. And we are looking forward to a decent 2024. That's what we can do right now. And
exactly.
Hope that, how do we feel about the Trump announcement? How do you think people up? I'm hearing, of course, from the hard Trump people, it's great. And I'm hearing a lot of criticism, and I don't know why people can't get over the personality and focus purely on the policies.
Well, I think honestly, right now you have people that are very they have a love-hate relationship with Trump. We know Trump, stood behind his policies. He did a lot, but he has a very abrasive personality. He is who he is. And you also have people that are attracted to, like Ron DeSantis, who is a milder, I would say more tactful version of Donald Trump, because he's also very firm in his beliefs and he speaks up and he doesn't take any crap either. And I think people are probably looking for the type of candidate that they can support, they can get behind. We know Trump has already proven himself as far as I'm concerned personally. I'm interested, of course, in Ron DeSantis as well. But I get concerned when I see someone like former House Speaker Paul Ryan say there's no way in hell Trump will win or whatever. It's like, shut up, Rhino. Because that guy rolled over when he was Speaker of the damn House, former vice presidential candidate. And when it came to the point where we had both the House and the Senate, he rolled over to the Democrats. So you know what? He can shut the living hell up.
Well, I think that Trump will bring a lot of that to light. And that's one of the things that I think is really important. And some people criticize me for it, but I believe in say what you mean and mean what you say.
Yes.
This unwritten rule down here, I am totally 100% against it. I don't know if it had anything to do with the trifecta loss here, but there has to be a time where we have to give that up. And we have to have candidates that are going to say that we are going to be Republicans. We are going to come together. We are going to stop this infighting. The state committee people are going to get together and walk down the same path, not a divided path.
And it has to be all states. It has to be all Republicans. The only way we can get the country back to where it needs to be, which is where gas is under $2. People have money in their bank accounts again. People are employed. People want to work. People are proud of who they are and what they're accomplishing. And that's gone. It's been gone for the past 3 years.
Well, people don't understand that we are the freest people on earth. And we are the freest people on earth because we have a constitution and we're faithful to that constitution. I don't believe that we're teaching people what the constitution means. And when you have someone like Amara Healy say, if Jeff Deal becomes the governor, abortion is going to be illegal. That is a bold-faced lie. We can't even say that that's disingenuous because as an attorney, she's aware that the legislator makes the law, the executive body enacts the law, and that a governor cannot change the law.
Exactly.
So it's incumbent upon voters to become a little bit more knowledgeable about the process, because I can't imagine these people are so easily led that they voted against their own self-interests.
And they
did.
And because the messaging that the Democrats used, which was abortion, which was they're going to take your Social Security away, they were very successful because if you listen to every single candidate in every single state, they all said the same thing when it came to the debates, if they debated at all.
Right.
And, I sent a message to someone that's helping with the Herschel Walker candidacy right now with the runoff. And I said, you need to take abortion off the table. And by doing that, you need to bring up the fact that we keep hearing about self-responsibility. Start talking about why are they not using prevention? Why are we not pushing for prevention? Why are we paying millions and millions and millions of dollars to Planned Parenthood and they're failing at teaching prevention? Because if you use prevention, then abortion will only be needed in those specific rare cases.
I think the part about abortion that bothers me as much is if you go to the very beginning of abortion, it was Margaret Sanger. And I don't think that these people that are saying I should be able to have an abortion whenever I want are aware of who she is.
Don't type.
What she wanted to do. I mean, she started the organization of Planned Parenthood. But what she wanted to do is she wanted to get rid of minorities because she didn't believe that they were a part of society that should go on to have generations. She was criticized for supporting eugenics. And she gave it free to all the Black communities and saying, oh, isn't this so great? It's free for you. But you had to pay to have your heart looked at. You had to pay to have your teeth done. You had to go to the dermatologist. But abortion was free because she wanted to wipe out a population. So how are we rah-ing Planned Parenthood?
Especially thinking back to, I don't never like to compare anything to the Holocaust, but what she's done is the minorities' Holocaust, if you will.
Well,
because
she tries to she's trying to wipe out the people that she doesn't believe rise to her level, which is disgusting.
Absolutely. And we have Chuck Schumer today, announcing that we need because there's not enough of the population that's reproducing. How ironic that we need to embrace all of the illegal immigrants coming into the U.S. And it's like 63 million plus abortions since Roe v. Wade passed. 63 million. That number is astounding. And we have Chuck Schumer saying people aren't reproducing enough and we need to embrace the illegal immigrants coming into the country. It's mind-boggling, and I hate using that phrase, but there's nothing less to describe the sheer disingenuous behavior of these Democrats, and they just go out there publicly and say it, and you have these people that eat it up. I don't get it.
I don't understand it either. I mean, if we really wanted to control unwanted pregnancies, would give every high school person a IUD.
Yes. Exactly.
You know?
And that's what, and that goes right into the Planned Parenthood. We're paying them millions and millions and millions of dollars in federal grants to get into the urban areas, to get into the rural areas, to get prevention out there to the young kids, well, the older kids, whatever, teenagers, and get educated on, being able to, avert being pregnant. And meanwhile, we're holding elections on abortion.
I
Are you
know.
kidding me? And goes, and I know this will be an unpopular thing, but with the whole issue of mail-in voting, which we know in the swing states, just so happens to be mail-in voting is a huge issue. So, and I haven't received evidence yet. I've asked to actually see it. And this is what I mentioned to you earlier, Darren, which you probably didn't read my text message, but when you take your animal to the vet, okay, they usually say, all right, so for example, I have a dog named Harley. So when Harley gets those little postcard reminders sent in the mail, it's to Harley Byer, my last name. Okay. And this happens with all the vets. Well, these lists get sold. So in the state of Massachusetts, Daryl, and I will tell you this because I know you're interested in, apparently, a gentleman that works at a company that I'm aware of received 2 mail-in ballots for his animals.
No.
Yes.
No, I need to see that.
That's what I need to see. I said I need to see, but he is 100% dead serious. So now I have to question, with the amount of dogs and cats that are in Massachusetts, how many of them actually voted?
You know what? I need to see that with my own
I do
eyes.
too.
That's
Well,
there's
no reason, but it can be the absolute truth because they go by lists that are sold. So, they're not. You have people that haven't voted before, or maybe someone actually put the animal's name in. I don't know, but I want to see the ballots myself because when I see it, I will most 100% believe it. But there's no reason that this person would have brought it up. But he was horrified. He was like, "What the hell? I freaking got ballots for my freaking pets."
So by all means, Tracy Post should have won her race. Tim Whalen was favored to run his race. I really don't know too much about Dan Higgins, although he was supposed to be the heir apparent. These are
Massachusetts races, by the way.
Yeah, Tracy Post was running for a state rep. Tim Whalen was running for sheriff of Barnstable County. By all means, they should have won, and they were in the lead until the mail-in ballots started to be counted. And it blows my mind. The same thing with Katie Hobbs. She won the election when she was Secretary of State with 20,000 mail-in ballots, and now she beats Carrie Lake with the same amount of mail-in ballots.
Oh, jeez.
So, they really got us. They really do. They can get out the vote. I don't want to say they're cheating because I don't really know, but I mean, it blows my mind that people are actually voting against their own self-interest. Although, when I was campaigning with Jeff Deal in Nantucket, we spoke to a woman who said that she would never vote Republican, especially for President Trump, even if diesel was $60 a gallon. Now, that would wipe out all her finances. That would wipe out her business. She was a fishing business. She had a diesel run fishing boat. So how do we as Republicans, first of all, get ourselves together? Because we seem to, at least in Massachusetts, I don't know about New Hampshire, but it seems like it's the same in New Hampshire. We have I call them progressive Republicans, and they're more Democratic leaning because
Rhinos.
they feel that rhinos, I call them progressives. They feel that if they're not leaning towards Democrats, that they're not electable. And I said this to someone today. I said, so you would rather have someone who's, quote, electable, but not a decent person. So you would rather have someone that's electable and call themselves a Republican, but they don't actually subscribe to principled Republican ideology.
And keeping in mind that the majority, in my eyes, of having the conservative principles doesn't necessarily mean what your social.
Exactly. And I think that's what
because they're very, very separate. And because what you keep hearing in the argument from the people on the left saying, oh, you're a religious zealot and all that stuff. Well, I've said it quite clearly. If I stepped into a church the walls would crumble down on me, and I'd be struck by lightning. I'm not a religious person whatsoever. So when they try to throw that at me, I'm like, really? No, it's called common sense. Okay, what happens behind your closed doors happens behind your closed doors. So social issues, yeah, I'll lean a little to the left on that, and I don't even think it should be left. I think it should be common sense.
I mean,
But people
I don't care who someone has sex with. I really
No.
don't. But, there are people who, oh, Maura Healey's the first lesbian governor. What
cares?
does that have to do with anything? What if she had one leg? She's the first one-legged governor. I don't care. Julian's here, makes himself a victim every single time. No one cares you're gay at all. No one cares.
Nope.
Only you make it an issue. It should be a non-issue. Go ahead and advocate for your people, your group, but it's not indicative of the whole entire community that you represent. So why can't a Republican run with principled Republican values if someone who's a gay Democrat can only run on the fact that they're gay?
Exactly.
So, I don't agree. There's a lot of Democrats that, I actually like, Mike Flaherty from Boston City Council. He's a decent guy. There's a lot that we can find common ground with, but these people are in office are very divisive. Like the AOC
I voted
eating cashews and talking smack about Elon Musk. I mean,
I voted for John Lynch when John Lynch was a governor in New Hampshire. He's a Democrat. Everything else I voted conservative on, but I voted for John Lynch because John Lynch would work with both sides and come to a compromise.
Shouldn't it be expected that both sides work with both sides? I mean, what's dividing us? Okay, is it money? Is it control? Is it power? We're washing billions of dollars through Ukraine. People are still flying Ukrainian flags.
And FTX, that whole scandal right now is absolutely crazy. That you hear that they asked Maxine Waters, you received donations or contributions to your campaign from FTX. Well, so did the Republicans too, and I don't want to talk about it. You're the head of the banking commission for the friggin' Congress right now, lady. You should be talking about this. Not for long, because now the Republicans have officially taken the House, but you're the head of it. You need to be talking about this. People have lost their life savings. This makes Enron and it makes Bernie Madoff look like nothing.
Yeah,
and this guy is down in Argentina, drinking margaritas and smoking cigars. What?
And he doesn't look like a mastermind.
No, he looks like a nerd. He looks like someone that would be working in Twitter as one of the engineers.
Not even. He doesn't even. He looks like somebody who's working in Starbucks and that wants you to call him doctor. Who's getting a PhD in Eastern European earth dirt worms.
Or coffee beans.
I think someone in Gutfeld said it the best. I can't remember her name. She goes, there's no way that guy's a billionaire because he's just too ugly. And plastic surgery takes care of all that. And I almost fell off the couch.
But when you think about it, how they see how the money washed through Ukraine, and now we have Ukraine more than likely, dropped the bombs or whatever in Poland and killed the 2 people and try to blame it on Russia. And then they're like, we need more money.
It's mind-boggling. We have, first of all, can you believe Fetterman has a suit? Where did he get a suit?
First of all right, I just want to punch his bitch wife in the face.
Oh, did you see her on all the pictures? Did she think that she was going to take his seat if he was medically unable? That's the impression that I get.
I think she thinks that she will. So if he's medically unable after he gets sworn in, I think she thinks she's going to take it and that they're not going to call a special election. But I think Pennsylvania law says they have to call a special election. She's a piece of work. She just needs a bitch slap, and I'm more than happy to handle it.
Well, speaking of bitch slaps, I said, I'd get punched in the face every single day if gas was $2 a gallon and I could get the $350,000 I lost when, in my retirement when Biden became president.
Meanwhile, other people that's listening out there are probably like, "Oh, all right,
Right, I'm sure some
got to
people
make it a
give
point
to me,
to
too.
sip." All those people he arrested, we need to get gas under $2.
Oh, I know. Oh, it's funny because some of the people are just getting out that,
You arrested?
yeah, some real doozies, but hopefully they learn their lesson. And, and that's one thing, like, I think it would be good. I don't know if it's realistic, but it would be good if our prisons actually rehabilitated people. I had talked to Tim Whalen when he was running, and I have a friend, Kenny Ballinger, who's a master dog trainer, unbelievable dog trainer. And we had talked about maybe having a program in the prison where people could learn how to care for a dog and actually give them a skill.
Yeah, they do that down in, I think, I want to say Georgia or Alabama.
Right. So who knows? I mean, maybe maybe Donna Buckley would be interested in doing something like that. But people need a skill. And one thing that I do know about the jail is that I don't know about the men, but when women go there, they're not allowed to have any sort of rehabilitative services until they have been sentenced. So you can wait in jail for 18 months until your trial comes up, and that's all wasted time. And I think that if we have people in our custody, that they should get services immediately. And you can't fix somebody by just giving them a job. I mean, if they're in jail, they're broken to some extent.
Right.
But women, more importantly, because if women aren't able to have their own money, you're looking at generational poverty, especially if the man leaves or the man goes to prison and the woman doesn't have any skills and she sells drugs and she ends up going to prison. Who takes those kids? Those kids end up going to foster care, and now you have, generational poverty. So, I just hope that that's really what she will do, is to focus on rehabilitation in a meaningful way. And I hope she doesn't get to 287.
I know the superintendent for Rockingham up in New Hampshire County Jails, he's put forth a really good program for the prisoners that are in there, obviously based on drug addiction or whatnot, that it's been pretty successful so far, that they're not reoffending. I think, I don't remember what the percentage was, but the percentage of them not reoffending is getting better than the ones that are reoffending, if that makes sense, the frequent flyers.
Right. And Minnesota has a really good program for that too. I spoke to someone about that drug addiction, and I just think we're missing the mark here in Massachusetts by taking, heroin and substituting it with Suboxone. I mean, it was just putting them from one drug onto another drug.
Because I know there's what they use for heroin addicts, that there's like a shot that they get for like over a period of time, where if they do heroin, they'll get really, really, really sick or could die, obviously. But it seems to be successful.
I've heard of that for like for alcoholism.
They do. Well, they do it. It's here in New Hampshire, and I know each shot it's done through the state, because the state of New Hampshire is behind it, and I'm pretty sure the cost is like $1,500 that like the state, I think the state pays for or something, but the success rate is really good, and I think I know some people that what they're doing is they were heroin addicts. They've been clean and sober now for probably 2 or 3 years, but they smoke pot because that kind of mellows them out, if that makes sense.
Well, I know there's a monthly shot for methadone. I don't know that necessarily makes you sick, but the monthly shot for opioid addiction for methadone is an antagonist. It binds to the body's opioid receptors and activates those so that you don't get high. And it's also in a liquid. So
I'm not sure if I'm not quite sure what it is, but I know that it's pretty successful for some, and I think it also
kind of
has
seems like
to do with
a Pavlovian. If you do drugs, then you get sick and throw up. But I think heroin addicts are used to being sick and throwing up.
True. And it's very, I mean, I always remember they said once you try it, you'll never get off of it. So of course the biggest fear was, if someone like tries to rob you or something and then they jab you, it's like, oh,
Well, that's why as a
that's
police
probably in the
officer
TV
and a
shows or
nurse
whatever.
and
But
an EMTs, we always worried about, getting stuck with, not so much for the drug, but for, Hep C or
yeah.
Hep A, B, or C or whatever.
And I don't think people, of course, we have politicians now that want to have, safe injection sites, which happen to be located near parks. If someone's going to inject, they're going to inject wherever they choose to do it. They're not going to say, "Oh yeah, let me go 2 miles down the road to the safe injection site."
Well, the thing about that is people still die in safe injection sites. So, it depends on, and this is where you get some people that are, liberal, and they don't really understand drug addiction or police work or anything like that. They just don't want someone to die. They're gonna die, and that's the sad truth of it. A heroin addict is going to die. It's just a matter of when. That's why you don't see many old heroin addicts. And I never believed in that. Like, I don't think I could ever kick my kid out of the house. I'd probably move to somewhere where they only grow corn and isolate my kids. But it's a terrible addiction, and they're going to die there. So now you're just paying because you're not giving them clean drugs. They're bringing their own drugs there.
Right.
So it's just, it's not doing anything to have the person quit taking drugs. And now you're bringing them into a neighborhood with drugs, and they still have to rob people, and the crime is still associated with it.
Well, yeah, because they're going to be robbing someone so they can get the money to get their fix and go to the safe injection site.
So were these people high on heroin when they voted for against their own self-interest in some of these elections?
Well, what they're doing is they're going
Katie Hobbs over Carrie Lake, and they're calling. This is what I don't understand. They label these people as extremists. Is it really extremism to have an America First agenda, to be fiscally responsible? I don't care what you do socially, but I do care where our money goes, and I don't want our money to go towards generational dependence.
And the thing, what is going on, and anybody that ever goes into WikiLeaks and reads the John Podesta emails and the Hillary Clinton emails, you can see, and those are from 2016, 2014.
We need to post those. We should post those.
But you can see how the Democratic machine works. They have the messaging where Republicans are constantly being on the defense instead of being on the offense, because they have the messaging, the whisper campaign. I mean, where did you see? You can, as I said, you can see how they get in sync. You just go on Twitter when they go to attack someone, and you can see from the media to the celebrities to politicians, they all have the same exact buzzword, and then they have a little description around it, and it's all identical. But it sinks into the students and the college kids. And speaking of college kids, and I'm sure people will disagree with me, and I don't really care. I don't believe students that go to college in another state should be able to vote in that state. Not when we keep hearing how great mail-in and absentee voting is.
But
there's
why not,
no
Diane?
reason
if they're can vote. Why
I
can't
know,
students vote?
but if they're not a legal resident of the state that they go to college, which means they pay taxes, excise tax on their cars, whatever, I don't care. If you are not a legal resident of that state, you should not be allowed to vote in that state. And not once have I ever heard how anyone takes the students' votes, because you know how you have precincts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Since when should they be able to have a precinct right at the college?
Well, this is the Democrat, boondoggle. And so are, and so is Harvard and Stanford and Yale.
Even UNH, but I would love to get the list of students and compare it to the open states where they put when a person is voted, you can look up their name and all that stuff, just to
They voted
see
twice.
if they voted in the state that they are going to college in and they voted at their home. Because I can guarantee you they're not checking that.
Well, why would they?
Exactly.
But shame on Republicans. I was thinking, how do I, in the town of Barnstable, how do I ensure that my Democratic town clerk who, failed to upkeep the mechanical vault, which mysteriously broke overnight, containing parts and pieces of the machines that count all the votes and the ballots, and that the Secretary of State emailed a PDF to a random business down here that does not have a contract, is not a vendor of the state. Who, if the Secretary of State is doing this and the town clerk is doing this, who do we turn to? Who do we say, when was the last time you went through your voting registry and said, this one's dead, this one moved, this one's dead, this one? There was people that I know that went to go vote in the primary, and they were told that they were Democrats. He's like, I will drop dead if I was a Democrat. He's like, I've never been a Democrat. I'm a Republican. And other people that got 2 ballots. So we need to, as conservative people, figure a way to do something about this, or we are never going to win another election. And maybe that's why that none of these candidates down here, Julian Sear never campaigned, Susan Moran didn't come out.
Because they knew they were going to win.
Kim Driscoll didn't, she hid in her basement, and she's been the mayor of Salem for 16 years?
I think what has to be done is you have to go to your legislatures, which of course in Massachusetts is a little difficult because they're all Democrats. Or you go to your local, you really have to get involved at the local level. Like, I know our process in New Hampshire, and I think we talked about this before, was when someone is registered, because we ask them, they have to announce their name to us, when we're checking them in. All right, you have to announce your name, then you have to give your driver's license. We confirm you're the person in the picture. And you ask them to announce, this is in the primary, if they're a Democrat or Republican. Now, if they say that they're one or the other, and all of a sudden your book says it's something different, you send them back to where the same day registration is, and they fill out the affidavit there, and then they get the correct form, and they come back and it's checked in the book. Then they take the form that they're given from where the checklist registers are. When they go to check out after they're voting, they have to stop. Again, they have to present their license. They have to give the documentation. Then they put their ballot in. So it's check and balance. And I don't think anything like that's happening in other states. I mean, how is it when you went and voted in Barnstable? Did you do the same? Did you check in and then you had to check out?
They didn't even check me out. When I went to go vote for the primary, I'm a registered Republican. They asked me if I wanted a Republican ballot or a Democrat ballot. 3 precincts ran out of Republican ballots within the hour.
So when you vote, all right, and maybe we need to sit there and get how people vote in all the states if they happen to vote on election day, because maybe we need to look at that, because that's obviously where the issue is. And I know with mail-in voting, it's different, but we got to do the photo IDs. And this crap about having the courts decide the laws when it comes to mail-in and voting, like when it came to Pennsylvania, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court says, no, you stop counting. And then you have the federal level say they have to continue counting. No, the federal doesn't get to decide what the state laws are.
Well, was it a federal election or a state election?
Well, it's probably a federal election, but I don't care because it was state seats too. But it doesn't matter.
I know.
But it doesn't matter if the state is responsible for the election procedures. Each state is different. If the federal was supposed to get involved like they wanted to try to, then it would be universal everywhere. And in that case, mail-in ballot
even
would be
different
illegal.
towns and different states have different, like in some states you can register that day. I mean, could you you can't even get health insurance and get registered the same day and get health care.
We register same day, and it's pretty successful.
How do they ensure that you are who you are?
Because you have to sit down with one of the registrars of the checklist. You have to present your driver's license. You have to present documentation stating that you're a U.S. citizen. You have to present a leasing bill or a rent bill or something that or car registration that shows what your address is and that you live in that town. You have to have the photo ID. You have to, and if you don't, you have to sign the affidavit. And guess what? They actually follow up in New Hampshire. Unlike some states.
I don't think there's any two states that administer elections in exactly the same way.
But they should have a minimum basis. And that is it. That's your photo ID. And to go one step further, when you do registration and you're registered somewhere else in New Hampshire, for like the presidential election, for example, they can actually pull up your previous registration and they compare the signatures.
They do.
To make sure, to make sure you are who you are. And this is the supervisors of the checklist that do this. They're the only ones that can do the same day registration or anything that has to do anything like that. You have to actually be a supervisor of the checklist in New Hampshire to be able to do that. You're the only ones that have the authority to do it. They couldn't go into the what?
Here's the problem we have in Massachusetts. It's a little known fact, and maybe it's an unknown fact, but we have facial recognition at our registries of motor vehicles. So if Diane Byer goes in with my information and gets a duplicate license, overnight, the computer's like, it spits out in both registries where you got your license and where I got mine. It says these two licenses have the identical information, but different faces. So
I would have been screwed back in the friggin' 80s.
Oh, me too, right?
Because I was my sister for, I don't know, like 3 years.
I was Roberta Tellerman. But when you think about it, so the Democrats know this. They know it in Massachusetts. It's not, it should have been talked about for number 4. Do we want to give illegal aliens a license? Because if someone comes in and he's John Smith Diaz and he gets a license, and then he gets that license in Plymouth, and then he goes to Boston and he's get John Diaz Smith and he gets that license, and then he goes to Belmont and he gets a different license. In the morning, all 3 of those variations are going to kick out at all the registries, and guess what we do about it? Absolutely nothing.
Yeah, because it's too much effort to go find the guy.
Well, there's no enforcement of it. So that when people say like, oh, when people believe if we just give them a license, we'll be safer, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't mean they're going to get a car. I would go get 3 student loans. I'd rent 4 Mercedes. I'd sell them for parts. I'd default on all of my student loans. I might even get assistance from 3 different towns or 3 different states under 3 different names. People always assume that what they're told is about them, and that's where these critical thinking skills come in with our children and teaching them how to think, not what to think. But they don't want that. And we are in a war now, and that's what people have to understand. We're in a war for our own American, values.
And I found it really interesting on our Facebook page. I went and
which is
found
Double D Uncensored.
Yes, we're having
Not
quite fun with that.
D's.
Double D. Die and Darwin. I went and pulled up New Hampshire's graduation requirements. And New Hampshire graduation requirement is a class in U.S. civics and New Hampshire civics combined. Okay. Now, Massachusetts is one of the original 13. You would think Massachusetts would have made civics a requirement for graduation. It is not.
But since when? When did that change?
Oh, that's a good question, because Massachusetts requires 3 credits in social history, whatever. It's U.S. history, world history. Nowhere in it does it say government. So what they're doing is they're touching upon it, and they're saying that U.S. history is, you're going to touch upon government. No, you need to have a specific separate civics course, and that is where we are failing in so many states, because I want to say only 23 states make civics a graduation requirement. And New Hampshire next year starts, in order to pass civics and social, it used to be social studies, whatever.
Right. I remember it being
The test is going to be, it's going to be the U.S. Oh my God, I can't even think.
the immigration.
Yes. The U.S. citizenship test is what students in New Hampshire have to take from now on to pass civics. And
I'm just appalled though at how some people don't understand. Like they don't know what an electoral college is.
yes, I took
you know-
the civics test. I took the U.S. citizenship test because I said, "Oh, Diane, I can't sit there and tell someone that I think it should be taken if I don't take it myself." Okay,
Agreed.
I had a 98 out of 100, and I was mad because of the question that I did not answer correctly. Because I'm like,
Which was what? Do you remember?
No, but it was dumb. I was so mad. I was like, oh, I can't believe this. But it's basic common knowledge that we have known. It's common. There's no way that these kids cannot know that there are 3 branches of the government. How can you not know that there's...
And the 4th branch is supposed to be the media, who does have a constitutional duty to tell the truth, to not suppress information. And we don't have that. And we have a governor-elect of Massachusetts who lies about the powers of one of those 3 branches. So what does that say? If you have to, to me, it just seems, how do you trust someone who's already lying to you before they've taken office?
Well, you also have a U.S. Senator, Liz, who doesn't even know how the Constitution works. So perhaps she might, she's a faker anyways, took advantage of the college system. But you have Nancy Pelosi even saying that Joe Biden cannot forgive the student loans. Right?
Well, I mean, they knew that was illegal before they did it. It was a way to get in. This is what
to buy the votes.
Well, okay, so these parents are spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. I want my child to go to Harvard. I want mine to go to Yale. I want mine to go to Princeton. I want mine to go to Brown. And they can't figure out that that's illegal. The child or the parents can't figure that out, that's it. So, but they'll go vote. Oh, he's gonna forgive all my student loans. Well, no, he can't. And they know that when they say it.
Yeah, and so does it's. How do we dumb down this country?
Well, like I said before, Newt Gingrich wrote a book. I think it's called The Dumbest Generation, and I personally think it started with social media. I remember going to one of my friend's house, and I didn't have kids yet, and her kid said, "Mom, what's the capital, whatever?" She's like, "I don't know, Google it." And I just looked at her and I was like, "Did you just tell him to Google the answer?" And she's like, "Well, yeah, I don't know." And so, they don't have to know alphabetical order. I said to my son the other day, he took like a 4-hour shower. And I said, "Hey, do you understand that there is going to be a 64% increase," thank you, Mara Healy, "in our energy costs?" He goes, "I don't care." I go, "I know you don't care. But if something costs $100 and it's going up 64%, how much does it cost now?" He goes, "I don't know." I go, "Seriously? It's $100 now and it goes up 64%. Now he's in the 9th grade. Shouldn't you know?" It's $64 more. It's $64 more for every 100.
Problems. I hate math problems.
No, but if you have,
I know it's
$100 and it goes up 64%, now it costs $164.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Darylyn, he didn't understand the math problem because there were no fish and no unicorn. So he was confused.
So he's like, "I don't care." I go, "Well, you know what? We're taking boat showers from now on. In the boat, when we're in the boat, you have to like wash off, soap up, rinse off, whatever." But I think this is a good thing that we have, that there's all Democrats in Massachusetts, because they are 100% solely for everything that happens now. There's no blaming Trump. All right, Mara Healy wanted to blame Trump for everything. But maybe this is when people suffer through this winter, we can remind them in the spring that this is what Democrats wanted. You may have voted for this, you may not, but it's what you got.
They literally have to be made to suffer. I hate to say it, because you know what? We're suffering. So, hey, join our club.
But you know what? We're suffering more because, I grew up in because we went to high school together. I was not privileged. I think
No.
I came over your house a number of times with all my clothes in a garbage bag. And I worked for everything I ever had. So because I worked hard, my husband worked hard, and we have a nice house, and, it's not a mansion or anything, but it's nice. So now that Mara Healey's decided we're not going to have a pipeline, that, we're going to be blowing into fans to try to run our cars like Fred Flintstone, I suffer because I was successful, because obviously I have a little bit of a larger house, so now I have to heat that. But people who don't have any money are suffering just as well. And the people that are on welfare and transitional assistance, they have to be suffering too, unless they're going to give them additional benefits. So who's working and suffering the most?
Yeah, every day.
People that have worked really hard to get to where they are and were making ends meet and just started to save money or just started a business. I saw a friend of mine who had a Kippy Dig sign on his property. He's not a trucking company, but he has a lot of trucks to move his product. So he's basically a trucking company. Anyone who has to move product from point A to point B.
Yeah, transportation.
Whether you're a shrimp or a fisherman or a landscaper or, you own something that goes to everybody's house. You are a trucking company. They voted for this person who's a Democrat who voted and failed to suspend the gas tax, but they like that person. But you can't think like that anymore. That person also voted for the millionaire's tax. So when this person goes to sell their house, which is probably worth $1.5 million, I don't even think they understand that because they voted for their friend, that they're going to end up paying probably $30,000, $35,000 more than they would. I don't care how rich you are. I don't want to throw $35,000 down the drain.
No. They vote with their emotions. Like you said, they don't bother to even actually research it because the friend next to them said, "Oh my God, we have to support this." And they're like, "Oh, yes, of course." And I think that's a huge problem.
Well, so I've been having this conversation, asking these people. I did a poll actually on LinkedIn too. I said, should we, as Republicans, start to do mail-in ballots or not, or make America Florida? And there was really some heated conversation there. And one person told me we need to start doing the mail-in ballots really early before anybody gets a chance to know who the candidates are. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. So we're going to vote on that guy has an Italian name. I like his name. And before anybody knows, before anybody has a stroke, before anybody dies, the mail-in ballots takes away, in my view, the democratic process.
Well, because the mail-in ballots have to be mailed so early, many times they haven't even debated.
Right. This is what I mean. So by the time the mail-in ballots had been sent for Fetterman, I don't know exactly when he had his stroke, but it just, in Arizona, I think there's 350,000 mail-in ballots. And a Democratic candidate is in charge of the polling.
Who should have recused herself.
Yeah, but so what are Republicans doing about it? I just don't hear any noise. I don't hear any plan. I hear, Mitch McConnell talking about this one, and Ryan, infighting in Congress. They need to be the example. Put your crap aside and do what's best for the people. Why can't we do that?
I think the fact that Mitch McConnell, to me, is just as bad as Paul Ryan. He rolls over to Schumer. I gave him props when he went along and worked with Trump, and they literally got all the judgeships done. Fantastic, because that's what was needed. They pushed him through. But he's a snake. He's a dirty snake. And for
Yeah.
him to pull money, knowing that the balance of the Senate, and to me, again, that's a whole other subject where I'm like, I don't think people should be voting based on ads. Okay. And who raised the most money as a candidate, because you are losing out on so many great candidates that have the great ideas, but they just don't have the ability to raise a whole ton of
Yeah, I
money.
mean,
They can
all right, so
raise money, but
just look at this
why?
local race here. Tim Whalen spent $200,000.
Insane.
Donna Buckley spent $90,000. She's a Democrat. That's an insane amount of money, and that's how people measure him. Oh, Jeff Deal's not going to win because he doesn't have a big purse. Do you really want someone with a big purse? To me, what that says is, I'm for sale.
Yep.
And I understand that there's, there's got to be this deal and that deal, but can we make it so that it benefits everybody? I mean, not to sound like a communist or a redistributor of people's wealth, but why should a small portion of society be able to influence who gets a COVID shot?
I mean, you've taken a good look at what this country looks like when it comes to where the elections, how red, how honestly conservative this country really is. And then you have these huge blue population centers in 3 or 4 different parts of this country that are really making the decision on who runs the country. And that's got to stop.
I just got word that Vito Labella actually lost by 502 votes out of 35,000 cast, and he was running for Senate out of New York and Brooklyn. So that's disappointing.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. I don't know how we're going to fix this. I don't know how, between whoever's in power, gerrymandering the borders.
Well, the first step is exactly what Greg Abbott did, the governor in Texas. He said enough is enough, and he's invoking the clauses of invasion, and he's going to take the steps to protect his state by putting his assets where they need to be and bringing the people back. And he's invoking the clause. He's done. It's not going to happen in Arizona unless
Exactly. Look at Arizona. Carrie Lake said what she was going to do is exactly what you just said. She was going to close the borders. She was going to give the citizens of Arizona back their state. Yet Katie Hobbs was voted in. That's like being on a border of a war in voting to get bombed again.
Exactly.
So the results of my vote, there was only 20 people that voted. One said, no, we should not do mail-in votings. 9 said yes, and 8 said make America Florida. It was 800 people who viewed this post, but only 20 people voted. I don't know. Maybe I should have said that I won't be able to tell your name or anything, so that people don't think that all of a sudden the FBI is going to knock their door down.
So, and before we go, we have a couple of big announcements here. Starting in January, we're going back to weekly because we have some things that are going to be coming, interviews that we're reaching out for. So we're going to have some very exciting people coming up on our show. We're going to be also doing some really great stories. We want to talk about the lady from Ireland, Darylyn.
Oh, Rachel Moran. Moran was immersed in prostitution from the time she was, I want to say 14 to 22. I don't know if it was right. And she is absolutely amazing. She came out of it. I'm sure she still has her struggles, but she speaks very openly about it. She's against calling it escorts. She's against calling them sex workers. And I love her book. I love her accent. I've read the book and listened to the audiobook. It's called Paid For by Rachel Moran. R-A-C-H.
She's from Ireland, I believe, correct?
Yes. And one of the things that she says is if no one ever laid a hand on a woman in violence, prostitution would still be violence against women. And it's not what people think it is. I think a lot of men are like, like the Victoria's
women.
Secret, the Victoria's Secret models. That's not for women. That's for men. There's no woman that's like, you know what? I want to put on some wings, not eat a sandwich for about a month, get this push-up bar and walk around in these heels. No, that's for men. Prostitution is for men. What they don't realize is that these women gag when they leave. And she tells a very brutal, honest story, but it's not salacious. And that's what I give her credit for, because the way she describes it gives you a very perfect picture, but it's not sexual or salacious. It's honest and raw. And, God bless her. I'm hoping that maybe we'll be able to do, she's such an awesome guest that we have to do 2 shows with her. But, I want to say thank you to everybody for listening. And we've been growing our listenership and our downloads. And thank you to our producer, Rick, for allowing us to go and expand our viewership. We really appreciate that. And we hope to expand the brand even more. And we hope to attract more listeners. And we would love if people would send us an email or hop on Twitter and give us a shout out. And Diane, was it theredwine@gmail.com?
Theredwine@gmail.com. The Red Wine Show @gmail.com. I'll put it on the Red Wine page.
Great.
It's on the Red Wine page, actually. It's right in the bio.
Right, and I've sent this out to all the RTCs here on the Cape and a number of them out in Western Mass.
And we're going to keep talking politics because we're going to figure this out, because 2024 is going to be here before you know it. People might not like the Trumps running because they like DeSantis, but if they both run, we have great choices. And I think that's the one thing we need to remember is we have really good candidates that could step forward and run, as long as they're not rhinos, because I'm done with the rhinos.
Well, we really need to make sure we have a voter registration, make sure everybody's voted, but we really have to do something about elections. Go to your town hall, ask questions, do Freedom of Information Acts.
Demand your legislatures protect your vote.
Ladies,
Exactly.
I love you, but you're well into the next hour now.
Sorry. Okay,
Nope,
bye.
we love you too,
all.
Rick.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Stop for me. Shadow timber.